Hi, Gemini. Welcome to Divine Love Tarot, June 2017 Love Reading. Okay, welcome to my channel. I'm very new at reading on YouTube, as I've said in my last videos. So I think, I'm trying to get the hang of it, so bear with me. But, I'm used to doing face-to-face and not recording my readings, so I'm just going to give it a shot, okay? So what I'm going to do today is a past, present, and future reading, and this is going to encompass, well, basically, whenever you see this video is when you're meant to see this video, okay? So at the time that you see this video, those energies will resonate for you. Alright, so right now I'm just going to do straight up reading, okay? I'm not doing any popped out cards. I'm not doing any reversals. Um, but, I don't know. Even though I don't do reversals, I try to read, more than just a positive aspect of the card. So, whatever the message is, I'm going to get that message. Upside down, sideways, backwards, forwards. So, don't worry about that, okay? Alright, so Gemini. Love reading, June 2017. What's going on this month, Geminis? Geminis. And it's your season too? Even though Cancer season is approaching. Is it me or is this year just like hitting the road real fast? Because it was just March the other day. I was celebrating my birthday and now all of a sudden it's the middle of the year. It's summer. It's hot. 2 weeks ago I was wearing a coat and a scarf. I don't know what's going on right now. So let's see what's happening for my Geminis. Ugh, we put that one back in there. Let's see what's going on for you guys this month, all right? Let's shuffle this a little bit more. Let's see what's happening. Well, you guys are a hard shuffle. Everybody else pretty much came out, but I don't know. Is this telling me that you got a lot going on, or what? There we go. Okay, that felt good. All right, so let's start with your past position, okay? So the first card that we're pulling for the past is the Queen of Cups. Okay, all right. So far, so good. First card. Next card is the Nine of Cups. I'm sorry, the Eight of Cups. Get my Roman numerals down. All right, and the next card, girl, boy, whoever's reading this, what's up? What's up, Gemini? What's up with the cups? All right, let's see what's going on. All right, Gemini. So the first card we've pulled for your reading is the Queen of Cups. Actually, I want to go left to right, not right to left. Sorry about that. But this is how I did pull the cards. You saw that. All right. So anyway, the first, a lot of editing going on behind the scenes. Don't even sweat it. So the first card that we've pulled is the Queen of Cups. Okay, in your past position. So the Queen of Cups is the sign of the card of unconditional love, right? It represents a sensitive, vulnerable, empathetic energy, very feminine energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be a female, but it does represent a very feminine, intuitive, sometimes, to a fault, this person is caring. They can sometimes be self-sacrificing in their need to care for others, okay? The card can also represent intuitive connections, a tender love, and devotion. So in the past position, you were in a very loving union, or you let your emotions flow freely within a union with someone, okay? Or vice versa. You were with someone who was very emotional. Let's see. Queen of Cups. Maybe you were too emotional. And judging by the amount of cups in this past position, there was a lot of emotion going on, okay? A lot of an emotion going on. So here, you were just letting it go. You weren't holding back. And maybe your partner was not able to reciprocate, okay? So the Two of Cups can also warn of not getting carried away regarding love. So maybe you did get carried away. Maybe you were all in for this person And, I just cannot decide how I want to do this. I feel like, do I want to go this way or do I want to end this way? Yeah, I want to end with this card, right? All right, that's fine. So, I'm so sorry. So, maybe back here, you met someone or you were with someone that you were very excited about, and this person incited you to open up, and you were vulnerable with this person, and you gave them whatever you had. Okay, so in the next position now we go from the Queen of Cups down to the Eight of Cups, and sometimes these cards speak for themselves. So what's happened here? Okay, so the Eight of Cups, oh, also the Queen of Cups, I'm sorry, let me go back, can represent a Cancer or just a strong water energy. Okay, so it could be any of the water signs, but could be a Cancer energy. So here, this card is, the card of disappointments. Um, it could be a situation where, your partner doesn't feel that you were right for them or vice versa. So maybe you had, these emotions and these feelings, but over a period of time you realize that, this person kind of isn't right for you. And, you know, disappointment was the result of that. Or it could signify some type of an emotional betrayal, some type of setback emotionally, even a breakup, usually a temporary breakup. Okay, points towards a tendency also to abandon things or ignore things instead of dealing with them. So maybe maybe you were emotional and you just weren't sure how to deal with it, and if your partner wasn't reciprocating, you took it badly because you did open up and you were vulnerable, and they didn't receive it. They weren't receptive to you. They weren't reciprocal. And you were like, you know what, I'm out of here because I'm looking at this card and you see where I'm going with this. Okay, so um it also points that there could be something in your childhood that attributes to this avoidance, this behavior of avoiding things. All right, so that might be something to look at. But either way you look at it, something is awry in your relationship. Something is off, and you don't know how to deal with it. All right, and you may just choose to move away, but there is a strong tendency to reconcile even after the disappointment of that card. So it's not a final, it could just be a temporary and then you wind up coming back together, because the next card is the Two of Cups, and Two of Cups represents a karmic tie. Look at these two people. They're holding that cup securely together. Those two cups, right? They're sharing, looking deeply into each other's eyes in a somber, serious sort of way. So this is a deep, deep connection. So um, it represents a balance or a balanced partnership. Okay, the past position, it represents a great relationship that has shaped you in some type of way or was the foundation for who you have become despite how it ended. So maybe you did break up and you did walk away, but here you are better for have being in this relationship. So you were here with all this love, and emotion flowing freely. Maybe you had a little tiff. You might have gotten back together, but whether you've gotten back together or not, this card is telling us that this relationship shaped you in a positive way. All right, and you're gonna take that. That connection has had a profound effect on you. It can also represent a couple who easily makes up after arguments. So you could be that make up to break up because your connection is just so strong. Even when you have disappointments and struggles, you guys always wind up back together somehow. Okay, so this represents a time. It represents being able to come back together easily, smoothing things over after any troubles or arguments. Okay, so now let's move on to the cards in your present position. Okay, so we have, ooh, Ten of Wands. Okay. King of Swords. And let's see what we have next. The Moon. Okay, so these are the cards in your present position. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the Ten of Wands. So, Ten of Wands, it can represent a heavy burden. I mean, this is it's a lot to carry. Okay, it's a lot, and this man has his arm around every single one of these wands, so he's holding on to this, and I can't imagine that it's an easy burden. Okay, so this can represent a heavy burden. It can also represent an obsessive commitment. So where someone else might have dropped these wands and said, look, man, I can't do this. To heck with you, wands, and whatever. This guy's not. He's holding on to these wands tightly. Tight. Look at it. He's like, yo, I got this. All right, so it could also represent that your partner does not appreciate all the effort that you're putting into this situation. So you have decided that you are going to give this situation your all, and your partner could care less. Your partner is just like, look, if that's what you want to do, fine. It's not going to change what I'm doing either way. It can also signify that you have come to a realization that this relationship is just a little bit too much work. Okay, either you or both you and your partner could feel like this relationship is too much of a burden on you guys. And even though you might be doing everything you can to keep this person happy, or they might be doing everything, or you both might be putting in the equal effort to make each other happy, but somehow, some way, it's just not panning out for you. Okay, so you're at a rough patch. Either way you look at it, this can signify a rough patch in your relationship. It can lead to a sort of an I don't care attitude if you're not careful. Because if you feel like you've done all that you can and the other person doesn't appreciate it, then you're kind of like, you know what, whatever. Well, I've done everything that I can do. So what else? There's nothing left for me to do. I don't care anymore. Whatever happens may happen. Okay? If you're single, this is kind of a sign telling you to stay positive about finding love, but maybe now is not the time to actively seek love. Maybe now is more of a time of reflection and not action. All right? So now let's move on to the King of Swords. King of Swords is a powerful energy, okay? It's a powerful, strong, opinionated, forceful male. Typically male, could also represent a female, all right? In the present position, it can represent the advice or opinions of an authority figure, okay? And we do have a tendency to ignore the feedback of our friends and family when we're in a love relationship. So this is also a message that, hey, maybe you need to take that advice. And maybe you do need to listen. You may not need to take it word for word, but maybe somebody is trying to tell you something and you need to listen, okay? Because we tend to regret it afterwards. You know, people outside of our situation tend to have a better view than we do when we're in it. And we could be getting the help that we need while we're over here carrying all these wands. You know, this person's like, hey, let me tell you something. Hey, listen to me. I can help you out here. I tell you a few words to straighten all this out. Also, you could be the King of Wands in your relationship. And the King of Swords. Okay, so then as the King of Swords, it may tell you that you either need to speak up, that you have something important to say in your relationship, or it may be telling you that you need to be a little bit more considerate in how you're handling your partner. You might be a little bit too forceful, a little bit too opinionated. King of Swords tends to have the reputation of being very critical of their partner. Okay, let's see, you if your partner is the king, then you're gonna have to learn to deal with them as is, because this person's not changing their energy, whether it's you or whether it's your partner. um Gemini, you know, Gemini, is this you? This is you. You might want to take it easy on your partner, or this could be saying that, look, you've got a lot to say. Okay, you've been doing all this work over here, and you feel like this person isn't appreciating it, and now you've got something to say. You're gonna tell them about themselves. You're like, look, you see what I've done? You see what I'm doing? What are you doing? All right? We need to get it together. Let's go. Um, but you have to try to be careful, okay? Be careful how you talk to people because you don't want to you don't want to cause further burdens in your relationship. You know, when things are already stressful, when there's already tension, or when you're already tired and exhausted from all the hard work you're putting into a relationship, it's not the time to make things worse with a careless attitude or a careless way of treating others. And if your partner is the king of swords, then you want to be careful that you don't become a doormat to this person. You know, that's fine if, you know, some people just have a controlling or very dominant type of opinionated personality, but you don't necessarily have to succumb to it. You can speak up for yourself. You can fight back, okay? Um, is there anything else I'm going to say about this? No, I think this is pretty straightforward. So let's move on to the last card in your present position. And this is the Moon card, okay? The Moon card. And here we see, not only do we see these dogs kind of howling at the moon, right? And in nature, the reason why dogs and wolves tend to howl at the moon is because it's a way of communicating, right? They're feeling vulnerable, exposed, right? Because now the moon is shedding the light. They're basically, I don't want to go too much into this because I don't know word for word the explanation, but basically it's a way to communicate that they're not alone in this situation. All right, they're howling to see if there are others are out there. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Um, but the moon typically represents your inner self, okay? Self reflection, your subconscious, deep feelings and emotions. This card is also saying that you can rely on your intuition, okay? Trust your instincts. Your inner sixth sense is at work. So if you're feeling something about your partner, most likely it's true, all right? If you feel like something's going on, you're suspicious of something your partner's doing, 9 times out of 10, with the moon card present, that means that you're absolutely correct. The moon also represents, with the feelings being deep and kind of subconscious and, kind of intuitive, it can be confusing for some people. It can be confusing for people who may, typically be used to operating with their minds, intellectually, and here you are, you've got all these emotions. You're feeling all types of things. You're feeling insecure, going back to that past situation where you had all that love flowing, and now you're here and you're not sure how to proceed. You're not sure how to feel. That love is still there, but also, whatever's residual energies are coming off of these cards. So this is a very confusing time. Okay, you're confused, but you also need to reflect on those feelings. Okay, reflect on those feelings and try to decipher what it is that you really what feeling is dominant. What's the most important, and what is the most productive way to move forward in your relationship. Try to talk it out, talk things out with your partner. You're probably confusing them too. They may be confused. You both might be very confused. There's two dogs on this card. So both of you are probably like, oh, we don't know what's going on in this relationship. Okay, so, um, maybe your insecurities are starting to show and you feel uncomfortable. All right, this card can also represent kind of like a die without you type of an energy. So, you may have had some issues in the past, but despite that, you still want this person. You don't want to live for whatever reason, you just don't want to be without them. Even though you guys haven't been working or things are not working, you don't want them to go anywhere. Okay? Um, so yeah, in astrology, the moon can represent Pisces. But this crab, and in many readings I've also seen people always say that the moon is associated with the crab, and I never understood if that was because in astrology, the moon is the planet for the crab. But I mean, this is tarot, and in tarot, I know the moon card to represent Pisces. So it is a water energy. It can probably represent Pisces. It can represent Scorpio, or it can represent Cancer. All right, but right here the crab is on this card, so maybe there's a Cancer in your life. okay? And you know, maybe let me know. All right, so let's move to the past position. I'm sorry, the future. I am all jacked up right now, but let's move on to the future. So the first card in your future position is the Knight of Pentacles. The next card is the Page of Wands. And the last card in your future position is the Four of Pentacles. All right, so the Knight of Pentacles. Let me get these over here. The Knight of Pentacles is an interesting card, okay? It kind of represents, you kind of have settled into your role of responsibility, your duties. In a love reading, since this is a love reading, right? I'm gonna go with that because there's different various interpretations of this card. But in a love reading, it can suggest a time of tranquility after a period of maybe confusion or upheaval. So in the present, the last card in our present spread was the Moon card, which is a confusion, time of confusion. So going forward into the future now, you're coming away from that time of confusion and settling into your role. If you've decided to stay in a relationship, you've settled back into your duties and responsibilities towards your partner, the relationship, and whatever you have, whether you're married, whether you're living together, whether you co-parent, you have a child together, but you're not necessarily in a committed relationship. This is saying that, okay, you know what, things are kind of getting back to the day to day. You know your part, I'm playing my part, and, there's not much strife. There's not, it's not a lot of strife or tension in this card. Um, it can also represent a message that your efforts will greatly affect the future of your relationship, or that you need to put in some more effort. Okay, so you know how we tend to get content in our lives, and sometimes certain relationships require a certain level of work consistently, and that's why there's commitment. Okay, that's what commitment means in a relationship. If relationships were easy, that commitment word wouldn't mean nothing because it's easy. We're just gonna stay together. Some relationships are easy. Some relationships, people, they come together, they click, they just work. It's like they've always supposed to be together. They've always known each other and they've always supposed to have been together. And then there's other relationships where where you have a situation where two people can't leave each other alone, as we just talked about on the Moon card, but there's a lot of tension that surrounds them. Their energies are maybe not so symbiotic, so they do tend to have a lot of misunderstandings. That requires consistent level of energy and work by both partners. So in this card, maybe one partner is prepared to put that work in, but both partners need to put that work in. All right. So maybe this card is telling you, like, look, it's time to start putting in that work. In the present position, it can symbolize boredom amidst the contentment in your relationship. So you have gotten to that place where things are okay. And now you're like, now what? Because you're so used to all that tension that was going on in the past. Okay. So you're just like, well, what do we do now? And, oh, that over there looks good because, that's what happens when people get bored and complacent in their day to day. They start looking at what else is going on. Grass is always greener, okay? You've come all this way. It would be kind of silly unless you really were ready to let your relationship go to start looking at what else is going on. The knight, he's mounted on his steed. So, he could be looking at or you could be looking at something. You could be the knight. So either you or your partner is starting to kind of look elsewhere because your relationship is just not doing it for you right now. This also points and indicates that one partner doesn't appreciate the effort of the other partner, and that the material comforts that this knight is providing is the other partner is taking it for granted. So if you have been the partner from the beginning of this reading that has been giving the love, putting in the effort, putting in the work, and your other partner hasn't been matching that level of or reciprocating the effort that you have been showing, then this is where you are now. Okay, that person is still not appreciating you. And you are kind of like, what do I do now? Okay, things have gotten predictable. Things have gotten predictable, and it's time to do something about it. So, if you don't want to let this person go, then you're going to have to exert more effort, right? More effort, or you're going to have to require more effort from that person, vice versa. Okay? This also could represent someone who is a Taurus, Taurus energy, so you can also look out for that. The next card is the Page of Wands. So, Page is, it's a youthful energy. The Page of Wands is fire, so it's creative, it's aggressive, can be considered kind of a nonconformist. In a love reading, it kind of signals that now is the time to consider whether this relationship can be saved or not. But in order for it to be safe, both parties have to be willing, okay? It also point towards a love-hate type of energy, which throughout this reading, I'm kind of getting that vibe that, things are either really good or really bad between you two, or when one person's loving on the other person ain't here for it, and then when that person decides to come around, then you're tired of, giving them the love and not getting it back. So there's a lot of back and forth that's been going on throughout this whole reading. Um, the attraction is there, okay? You guys definitely have the attraction, but somehow you don't fit, and you keep trying, or one of you keeps trying to make it fit, and you're not breaking up, so this is causing a lot of tension and frustration, or this card can represent that. So if you have broken up, you may be dating multiple people, all right? Because you're not ready after the moon, going back to that past spread with those cups. That was a very emotional time. You're coming out of a very emotional time. You were probably just happy to be holding on, and here you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go see what else is out there, but I'm not trying to do anything too serious right now. And that's what pages. Pages don't tend to represent a serious energy in relationships. Um, you're just not ready. Okay, you're not ready to jump back in. In the present position, it represents you're starting over with a clean slate. So if you are single, you have wiped out that other partner. You've done enough. You're done, and you're just out here, trying to start over, trying to start your life over, trying to get things back on track for you as a person. All right. Um, okay. So the Four of Pentacles can represent a controlling or possessive type of energy, maybe holding on to something too tightly or longer than necessary. So as we can see by the blood on this person's hands, this person is holding on tightly to something. To what, Um, and it's not healthy or realistic. True love tends to allow for space and freedom in a relationship or a partnership. But fear tends to bring about that need to control, that need to possess someone, okay, that need to hold on to them tightly, even though you're not working, you're not happy, they're not happy, but for whatever reason, you just don't want to let it go, okay? So it may indicate one of you guys, either you or your partner, may be too possessive, or has made the relationship a top priority, which is not a bad thing, but if the relationship is a priority to that one person and it's not to the other person, then it can lead to insecurity, which will lead to fear, which will lead to the person back here to this holding on, this clinging. Um, it could signify someone who feels also that they're too good for their partner, or that their partner doesn't deserve special attention. So, not necessarily saying that they don't have feelings, but if we're going to stay in the attitude of the spread, okay, we've come a long way to get here. So, we've come from the Two of Cups to the Eight of Cups. I'm sorry, the Queen of Cups, the Eight of Cups to the Two of Cups, right? So all that emotion into, the Moon card that ended out the last position. So if you're here now and you've been the person that has been trying and trying and trying, you may still be holding on to this partner or this certain situation, even though you're out here dating other people, right? You probably still have some type of tie or dealings with your partner or your initial partner or your initial serious relationship, and you're not letting it go. You're not letting it go. They're not letting you're not allowing yourself to let the universe bring you something better, because your attitude is basically saying like, this is it. There's nothing else than this person. You're holding on so tightly, it's almost like this there is nothing else in the world for you. And if you would let go, maybe that partner would be more comfortable in the situation. But maybe this possession is making them feel uncomfortable. So even though they love you, that's a very uncomfortable place to be in, when you know that a person is so obsessed with you, so possessive, so controlling. It's just like, look, not very many people like to be controlled. Not many people feel like they need to be, that close in a relationship. There are a lot of people who need a lot of space in a relationship, and it has nothing to do with cheating or anything else. They just don't see the need to be in, that traditional type of, see each other every day, do everything together, or putting all these expectations on each other, or if we go back to the King of Swords in the present position, being so critical, maybe judgmental of the person. So, you got to let this person go. You've got to let this go. Um, he's bleeding. He's bleeding and bloody, and, it's why? So for this to be the last card in the reading, it's it's telling you, look, we've shown you this whole story, all right? And you were out here, you had the opportunity. There's probably other people who are interested in you. And, this person who hasn't been appreciating you is not the one. Okay? And there could be something better for out there for you if you let it go. Especially this card also can say that the commitment hasn't really been established. So especially with the feeling that you're too good for a person, maybe you broke up. Okay, maybe you broke up and you're still kind of dealing with them, but you're not back in a committed relationship. So you're kind of just you're basically just kind of cock blocking at this point. You're trying to keep them from being with somebody else, because we tend to not want to see another person work out with somebody when it didn't work out with us, but you don't necessarily actually want that person. So now it's just turning into this kind of like ugh kind of situation, and it's time to let go. It's time to let go, and move on, for the both of you. Um, in the future position, it warns that your current behavior may lead you to a place of limitation rather than being open and receptive to new experiences. All right, so in your current, let's go back. In your current position, you've got the Moon card, the King of Swords, and the Ten of Wands. So the Ten of Wands, you're holding on. You're holding on to this responsibility, to the burden of this relationship. Okay, and the King of Swords, you're getting frustrated. You're getting frustrated now, and you're starting to criticize this person, and you're probably demanding that they meet the level of effort that you're putting into this relationship. All right, then you move into the Moon card, where you're confused now because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know why you're still holding on to this person. You still love this person, but you're probably angry at them at the same time, and you're probably frustrated, and you're probably tired from all this work that you're putting in, and yet they're not appreciating you. And that can be confusing, because if you're putting on all this work, if you're providing for them materially, if you're giving them all that love that was flowing in the past with the Queen of Cups and the Two of Cups, why aren't they appreciating you? And sometimes it's not about you figuring it out for them, or what their motivations are. Sometimes it's just about you doing what's right for you. Okay, so now here you are, you've kind of settled into the role, but still you could tell something's just not right. And here, you have the opportunity to kind of get out. This is your chance to make a new start. All right, so go with your chance to make a new start if this relationship isn't salvageable. Take a good hard look at your relationship and see, is this something that's worth it? Now, if you have children, I totally understand when there's children involved or finances or some type of responsibility that ties two people together, it can be harder to walk away from a situation. But at the same time, trying to control that person is never the answer. Because if that person is going to leave you, they're going to leave. And nothing that you do, not being controlling, not being criticizing them, not cheating, nothing that you're going to do is going to change that. If they're not going to appreciate you, if they don't, and if they haven't, they probably will not. All right? So this card is warning you. Look, this is what your future is going to look like if you don't change your attitude in the present. Okay? So, in the present, you have the opportunity to with the King of Swords, that is your opportunity to express how you feel, but in a mature manner, okay? Try not to be too critical. Try not to put this person down. Because if it is a situation where you guys just have different types of personalities, there is genuine love there, but maybe you're a Gemini, and Geminis are very adept at communicating. They have no problem with communicating, and sometimes in arguments, that level of communication, that swiftness, that decisiveness, that ability to click, 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 click all your thoughts together in a row can sometimes be overwhelming to maybe an earth sign that is not as fast, or a water sign that's emotional but may not necessarily express themselves right then and there because they need some time to sort out their emotions. Geminis also have a tendency to say the first thing that comes to their mind, and they may not possibly mean that tomorrow, and they're over it. They don't hold grudges. They're not holding on to this conversation, or they're not holding on to the argument that you had today. But another sign might, another element might. So if a Gemini is with an earth sign and that person had their feelings hurt the day before because you read them the riot act, and now here it is the next day and you're over that argument, but their feelings are still hurt, they're not going to be as receptive. They're not going to reciprocate that feeling that you want from them. And that's what your first cards were saying. It was, look, maybe this person isn't reciprocating because of how you talk to them. So maybe it's time to revamp the situation, or maybe it's time to just come to terms with the fact that you two are very different. And if you're both not willing to work on the fact that you're different and learn how to communicate with each other, or learn a style of communication that is different than what you're used to but is something that you both can understand, then you need to let the situation go, because you're just hurting each other. Okay? Or you're just hurting yourself. Okay, Gemini? So damn, I got kind of emotional about this situation, but hopefully, this reading spoke to someone. Let me know how you feel down in the comments. If you're interested in a private reading, I'll have information up available about how to contact me for that. And yeah, I hope it doesn't, your future doesn't come to this. I hope, you get to a point where maybe you get a clean slate, but that choice is yours. You have the ability now to decide, what it's all about, the free will. So you decide what outcome you want. Okay, Gemini? So hopefully I will see you next month. Thank you for joining me today. All right, bye.